How to safely get vitamin D from sunlight. The sunshine vitamin, taken correctly, can help your body without the risks of cancer or wrinkles. Vitamin D is a unique vitamin that most people don't get enough of. In fact, it's estimated that more than 40% of American adults have a vitamin D deficiency. 1. This vitamin is made from cholesterol in your skin when it's exposed to the sun. That's why getting enough sunlight is very important for maintaining optimal vitamin D levels. However, too much sunlight comes with its own health risks. This article explains how to safely get vitamin D from sunlight. The sun is your best source of vitamin D. There's a good reason why vitamin D is called the sunshine vitamin. When your skin is exposed to sunlight, it makes vitamin D from cholesterol. The sun's ultraviolet B, UVB, rays hit cholesterol in the skin cells, providing the energy for vitamin D synthesis to occur. Vitamin D has many roles in the body and is essential for optimal health too. For example, it instructs the cells in your gut to absorb calcium and phosphorus, two minerals that are essential for maintaining strong and healthy bones. 3. On the other hand, low vitamin D levels have been linked to serious health consequences, including osteoporosis, cancer, depression, muscle weakness, death. In addition, only a handful of foods contain significant amounts of vitamin D. These include cod liver oil, swordfish, salmon, canned tuna, beef liver, egg yolks and sardines. That said, you would need to eat them nearly every day to get enough vitamin D. If you do not get enough sunlight, it's often recommended to take a supplement like cod liver oil. 1 tablespoon, 14 grams, of cod liver oil contains more than 3 times the recommended daily amount of vitamin D. 4. It's important to note that the sun's UVB rays cannot penetrate through windows, so people who work next to sunny windows are still prone to vitamin D deficiency. Summary: vitamin D is made in the skin when it's exposed to sunlight. Sun exposure is by far the best way to boost vitamin D levels, particularly because very few foods contain significant amounts. Expose your skin around midday, especially during summer, is the best time to get sunlight. At noon, the sun is at its highest point, and its UVB rays are most intense. That means you need less time in the sun to make sufficient vitamin D. 5. Many studies also show that the body is most efficient at making vitamin D at noon, 6, 7. For example, in the UK, 13 minutes of midday sunlight exposure during summer 3 times per week is enough to maintain healthy levels among Caucasian adults. 5. Another study found that 30 minutes of midday summer sun exposure in Oslo, Norway was equivalent to consuming 10,000–20,000 U of vitamin D. 8. The commonly recommended daily dose of vitamin D is 600 U, 15 mcg. 3. Not only is getting vitamin D around midday more efficient, but it might also be safer than getting sun later in the day. One study found that afternoon sun exposure may increase the risk of dangerous skin cancers. 9. Summary: midday is the best time to get vitamin D, as the sun is at its highest point and your body may manufacture it most efficiently around that time of day. This means you may need less time in the sunlight at midday. Skin color may affect vitamin D production. The color of your skin is determined by a pigment called melanin. People with darker skin typically have more melanin than people with lighter skin. What's more, their melanin pigments are also larger and darker. 10. Melanin helps protect the skin against damage from excess sunlight. It acts as a natural sunscreen and absorbs the sun's UV rays to defend against sunburn and skin cancers. 11. However, that creates a big dilemma because darker-skinned people need to spend longer in the sun than lighter-skinned people to produce the same amount of vitamin D. Studies estimate that darker-skinned people may need anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours longer to get sufficient vitamin D, compared to lighter-skinned people. This is a major reason why darker-skinned people have a higher risk of deficiency. 12. For that reason, if you have dark skin, you may need to spend a bit more time in the sun to get your daily dose of vitamin D. Summary: darker-skinned people have more melanin, a compound that protects against skin damage by reducing the amount of UVB light absorbed. Darker-skinned people need more time in sunlight to make the same amount of vitamin D as lighter-skinned people. If you live far from the equator, people living in areas farther away from the equator make less vitamin D in their skin. In these areas, more of the sun's rays, especially UVB rays, are absorbed by the Earth's ozone layer. So people who live farther away from the equator usually need to spend more time in the sun to produce enough. 13. What's more, people who live farther from the equator may not produce any vitamin D from the sun for up to 6 months a year during the winter months. For example, people who live Boston, USA and Edmonton, Canada struggle to make any vitamin D from sunlight between the months of November and February. 13. People in Norway cannot make vitamin D from sunlight between October and March. 14. During this time of year, it's important that they get their vitamin D from foods and supplements instead. Summary: people who live farther away from the equator need more time in the sun, as more UVB rays are absorbed by the ozone layer in these areas. During winter months, they cannot make vitamin D from sunlight, so they need to get it from foods or supplements. Expose more skin to make more vitamin D. Vitamin D is made from cholesterol in the skin. That means you need to expose lots of skin to the sunlight to make enough. Some scientists recommend exposing around a third of the area of your skin to the sun. 5. According to this recommendation, wearing a tank top and shorts for 10 to 30 minutes 3 times per week during the summer should be sufficient for most people with lighter skin. People with darker skin may need a bit longer than this. Just make sure to prevent burning if you're staying in the sun for a long time. Instead, try going without sunscreen for just the first 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how sensitive your skin is to sunlight, and apply sunscreen before you start burning. It's also perfectly fine to wear a hat and sunglasses to protect your face and eyes while exposing other parts of your body. Since the head is a small part of the body, it will only produce a small amount of vitamin D. Summary: you need to expose a sufficient amount of skin to sunlight to maintain healthy vitamin D blood levels. Wearing a tank top and shorts for 10 to 30 minutes 3 times per week is sufficient for lighter-skinned people, while those with darker skin may need longer. Does sunscreen affect vitamin D? People use sunscreen to protect their skin against sunburns and skin cancer. That's because sunscreen contains chemicals that either reflect, absorb or scatter sunlight. When this happens, the skin is exposed to lower levels of harmful UV rays. 15. However, because UVB rays are essential for making vitamin D, sunscreen could prevent the skin from producing it. In fact, some studies estimate that sunscreen of SPF 30 or more reduces vitamin D production in the body by about 95 to 98%. 16. However, several studies have shown that wearing sunscreen only has a small impact on your blood levels during the summer. 17, 18, 19. One possible explanation is that even though you are wearing sunscreen, staying in the sun for a longer period of time may cause enough vitamin D to be made in the skin. That said, most of these studies were conducted over a short period of time. It's still unclear whether frequently wearing sunscreen has a long-term impact on blood vitamin D levels. Summary: in theory, wearing sunscreen may reduce the ability to produce vitamin D, but short-term studies have shown that